For years, Jess Phillips stood in Parliament talking about protecting women and safeguarding victims, said the system cared, said reforms were coming, said victims would finally be heard. And then, under questioning, she admitted the victims themselves told her the system was worse than the abuse. Worse than the abuse. 5 years of knowing, 2 years in power. And then she said the words that exposed everything. Words mean nothing until things change. Watch what happened.
Hangs right now. Keep watching.
I have handled in my career hundreds of cases. It used to be called Sojourner when it first existed, which I think you meant to pronounce Sejourner, but we all call it the Sojourner Project in Birmingham. And then it went to be the Domestic Abuse Concession, and now it is the MV-DAC. They are essentially the same thing. And I have to say, in all those years of this scheme, I did not see these cases in the manner in which I have seen them in the past 5 years, I would say. And I'm not talking as a Home Office Minister now, I'm talking as a constituency member of Parliament. But I also see in the field of domestic abuse, more broadly, the issue of claim and counterclaim becoming the game in town. So a woman comes forward, says she's been a victim of domestic abuse, man comes forward and says he's been also. So the claim and counterclaim, it's like perpetrators of domestic abuse all have like one massive WhatsApp group where they learn the current thing to do.
She just admitted she's known about this for 5 years. Not as a minister. Patterns, men using the domestic abuse system to stay in the country. And when she finally got the power to fix it, when she became the minister responsible, her answer was, work is in train. 5 years of watching, 2 years of power. Nothing changed.
So making sure that people understand that that is being used as a tactic in the field and forms part of training with regard to what is happening. It's usually the canary in the mine in these things is usually the family court, and we saw it coming. It's been there for some time. It is now breaching out, I would say, into the criminal law. But people who make false allegations should be held accountable as well. It is quite difficult, isn't it, to say that something is not founded in these cases means it's not true, because that would mean that the vast majority of rape in this country never happened. So there is a standard. So it's not as easy as just saying do take these cases for certain, don't. There is a nuance that has to be. But I personally think I could tell the difference.
Didn't know if records were destroyed. The minister who watched this scandal grow for 5 years, she just told Parliament she personally could tell the difference between a real victim and a fake one, personally.
Jess Phillips just said something that should end her political career immediately. The minister responsible for safeguarding women and girls in Britain admitted in Parliament that victims told her the system was worse than the abuse itself. Worse than the abuse. And she said it like it was just another statistic in another hearing. No outrage, no anger, no urgency. Just another sentence in another speech while elections are tomorrow, and she is still the person making decisions over grooming gang victims in this country. And it gets worse, because this was not Jess Phillips discovering a new problem as a minister. She admitted herself she had been watching this happen for 5 years as a local MP. 5 years of seeing patterns. 5 years of watching perpetrators manipulate the domestic abuse system. 5 years of seeing false counterclaims become the game in town. Her words, not mine. And when she finally got power inside government, when she became the minister responsible for safeguarding women and girls, her answer was that work is in train. 5 years watching. 2 years in power. Nothing changed. Watch what happened when she tried to explain why victims no longer trust the system. She did not deny it. She confirmed it. She said victims themselves told her the courts, police, and social services were worse than the crimes committed against them. Think about what that means for a second. Imagine surviving abuse, finally finding the courage to report it, walking into a police station hoping someone will help you, and discovering the system meant to protect you, leaves you even more traumatized than the original crime. And the minister responsible for fixing it says this calmly in Parliament like everyone should already accept it. That is not reassurance. That is an admission of total institutional failure. And then came the most unbelievable moment of the hearing. Jess Phillips openly told Parliament she personally believed she could tell the difference between a real victim and a fake one. The same minister who struggled to answer questions about evidence. The same minister who admitted records and investigations are deeply flawed. The same minister who spent years watching this crisis grow now wants the public to trust her personal judgment on who is telling the truth. And she knew exactly how bad this sounded because moments later she tried to soften it with talk about nuance and believing girls, but then she accidentally told the truth again. She admitted that her words mean nothing unless things actually change. Those were effectively her own words. Imagine being a victim hearing the safeguarding minister say she believes you, while simultaneously admitting the system destroys people and nothing changes for years. This was not opposition spin. This was not media editing. This was Jess Phillips in Parliament speaking in her own words during an official hearing. And notice what kept happening throughout the exchange. Every answer became another excuse for delay. Everything takes years. Every investigation is complicated. Every case is sensitive. Every reform is still coming later. Meanwhile, the victims are told to wait longer. The public is told to trust the process longer. And elections are tomorrow. But here is the part people should really pay attention to. Jess Phillips repeatedly framed herself as someone who deeply understands the suffering because she worked in the field and handled hundreds of cases. Yet that makes the admissions even more devastating, not less. Because if someone with that much experience knew how broken the system was for this long, why did it take a parliamentary hearing for the public to hear this level of honesty? Why are victims still describing the system as worse than the abuse after all these years of warnings? Because this hearing exposed something much bigger than one bad interview answer. It exposed a government that knew the scale of the problem for years and still cannot explain why so little changed. And when politicians start admitting in public that victims trust neither the courts, nor the police, nor the safeguarding system itself, that is not a communications problem anymore. That is a collapse of confidence in the institutions meant to protect people. Everything you just watched came from one parliamentary hearing before an election. Her words, her admissions, her explanations. Not rumors, not leaks, not anonymous sources. The Minister for Safeguarding Women and Girls openly admitting the system can feel worse than the abuse itself while asking the public for more time. Drop a comment and tell me this. If a safeguarding minister admits the system is failing victims this badly after years in power, why should anyone believe more promises now? And if you want more coverage of what politicians actually say when the cameras are rolling, hit subscribe because these hearings are exposing far more than they intended.